Today we learn about the Muslim empires or the Islamic empires, and we are learning about the leaders that followed the footsteps of its founder, the Prophet Muhammad. Now, to give you an additional background, the first four caliphs after the death of Muhammad thought of themselves as equals to other Muslims. They did not live extravagant lives or wield their power unfairly. The rulers in the dynasties that followed, the Umayyads, chose to live in a more luxurious way and hold on to power. Many Muslims resented these extravagant lifestyles and believing that it was not consistent with the principles of Islam. These Muslims rebelled against the Umayyads and helped the Abbasids take power. So, the objective of this lesson is identify opposing groups that competed for power in the Muslim empire and explain how a major split developed in Islam in the late 600s. The essential question is what major contributions did Muslim leaders and scholars make to world civilization? Go ahead, log into Clever, and from there, go to Cengage Learning, and that is our National Geographic book. And from there, I want you to log in, and it's in Unit 1. And from Unit 1, it's Chapter 3, and we are under Section 2, and we are in Lesson 1. And that is pages 70 to 71, and the title of the lesson is The Umayyads and the Abbasids. Now, since you are required to answer the review and assess questions, let's take a look at these questions first. Reading check question. What major division in Islam developed after the Umayyads came to power? And for number 2, identify the main ideas. How did the Umayyads strengthen Muslim empire? And number 3, what flaws of the Abbasid caliphs contributed to their downfall? Well, just like the Roman Empire or any other empire, the last 3 of the first 4 caliphs were assassinated after the death of its founder, Muhammad. So the last one, Ali, was murdered in 661. A family known as the Umayyads gained power. Well, just like any other monarch in the Middle Ages, the Umayyads established a hereditary system of succession, meaning how they pass their power from one person, the leader, to the next is usually through members of their clan. So usually it's father to son. The Umayyads also moved the capital of the Muslim empire to Damascus, Syria, which made it easier for them to control lands. However, many Muslims felt that the new capital was too far from Islam's heartland near Medina. So these unpopular actions helped split Islam into 2 branches. The majority, which is the Sunni, accepted Umayyad rule. They believed that any Muslim could be caliph. The other group, the Shiite, believed that the only member of Muhammad's family, especially Ali and his descendants, could rule as caliph. These 2 major divisions still exist today, and the Sunnis still are the majority in these 2 major branches of the Islamic faith. Now, to answer question number 2 of the review and assess, so how did the Umayyads strengthen the Muslim empire? So despite the split, the Umayyads expanded the empire into new areas. They also came up with a system, a bureaucratic system, to govern specialized departments. They also divided the empire into provinces like states and cities governed by Muslim rulers. So there's also a postal system, just most likely they adopted it from the Mongol Empire, and they connected the provinces and a strong army to keep peace in order. So these actions help unite a diverse empire. However, many Muslims believe that the Umayyads put too much emphasis on gaining wealth and power, which they think that this is in contrast to the teaching of the Islamic faith. For the majority of them, they believe that too much luxury is not a good thing. So control under the Umayyad leaders remain unstable. And this leads us to the other Muslim group in this lesson. So opposition to the Umayyads grew and rebellion happened. And in 750, a rival clan called the Abbasids, who were descendants of Muhammad's uncle, took control of the empire. Non-Arab converts and Shiites lent support to the Abbasids, who moved the capital to Baghdad in central Iraq. The Abbasids ruled during the Golden Age in Muslim history, but the caliphs were isolated from the people. Government was left to trusted advisors who held the empire together through force. They built a huge army that relied on mainly Turkish mercenaries or hired soldiers. Eventually, a group called the Seljuk Turks converted to Islam and came to control the government of the Muslim empire. Then in 1258, an invading group from Central Asia called the Mongols stormed Baghdad and killed the last Abbasid caliph. Ultimately, the issue boiled down to one thing, which is succession. So the Umayyads and the Abbasids, they both have their shares of success and failures, and they were able to cement their imprints or legacy not only to the Islamic world but also in world history in general. Islam split into two opposing factions or divisions after the Umayyads came to power. The Sunni majority accepted the Umayyad rule, believing that any Muslim could be caliph. The Shiites, which is the minority, opposed the Umayyads, believing that only Muhammad's descendants could rule as caliph. The Umayyads spread Islam to new areas and they governed their expanding empire through establishment of efficient bureaucracy. And they divided the empire into provinces governed by Muslim rulers, established a postal system to connect the provinces, and built a strong army to keep order. And the Abbasids, on the other hand, ruled their empire by force and relied mainly on Turkish mercenaries. Eventually, the Seljuk Turks converted to Islam and took control of the government of the Muslim empire. Now let's take a look at this painting. So this painting suggests that Muslims love learning. So this painting shows philosophers working in the house of wisdom, and the Muslim rulers, the Abbasids, were able to build a very huge collection of books that was eventually destroyed by the Mongol Empire when they attacked Baghdad. So the point is, they are into learning. They are into science and astronomy, mathematics, and different disciplines in science. In fact, a lot of the things that we know today are because of the effort of the Muslim rulers in preserving those information from the Greeks and even other ancient learnings. So that's it. That is our lesson for today. Chapter 3, Section 2, Lesson 1, the Umayyads and the Abbasids. Go ahead, answer the review and assess questions.